everyone thinks the referee and the RFL hate their club, right? And we'll get onto that in the game reviews later on, because Brian Davies sends in one that emphasises a point that we experienced at Blackpool the other week, that we experience every time we go to a lower league game as a neutral. You see it every time. And that's fans think the RFL is hell-bent against them. So they think the referees are bent against them. But I tell you what, I'll make the point again. You as a fan, me as a fan, I'm far more biased than any referee who's ever refereed a game of rugby league.
Yeah. And getting back to the Twitter thing, it was a wonderful resource, and this is why we can't have nice things. Shall we? Okay.
But thanks for getting in touch, Paul.
Paul, it's an absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure.
And some solid points made for sure.
Yeah.
Alan Paul Walker we finished with on the extended feedback and shout-outs this week. He says, hi Mark, I get your point about the Easter revenues, but it's a second match such a cash cow. Seems like they've always been a bit down compared to the Friday games, and in many cases not any bigger than normal weeks. You might have the stats to prove that wrong, of course. Good Friday Wigan Saints matches can still be played on single round weekends anyway. You touched on the key point, and that's too many matches. Much as I didn't want to say it, I've been coming to the view that the best thing is to ditch the eights for the top eight.
Convenient now that your side has slided it in the middle.
No, hold on. Go straight to a top 4 or 5. Keep the eights for the bottom 4 and top 4 of the championship, but that way the top players would only get 23 matches plus cup and set 2 or 3 playoff games. Every minute will still matter, but less minutes. The club will have to focus more on driving up revenues. I know it's not a magic bullet, but at least the players will be able to do real international rugby league season after the grand final. No double weekends nor mid-season friendlies. Make up final, start the season later. What do you reckon?
It does make a tremendous amount of sense.
Start the season later, but have a make-up final doesn't fit in my head. Keep the cup.
Well, you end up front loading the season, don't you? Because you have to rapid fire the rounds out.
I can't fathom moving the cup final back for me now because of the way the season structured. You want your big important events closer to the end of the season than the start for me.
Yeah,
but
the cup sometimes
everything else. Good stuff.
The cup loses momentum though, doesn't it? That's the thing. I think that's one of the reasons we struggle to market it. Because it's quarter-final weekend coming up this weekend, and how long have we got before the semis, and how long have we got after that before the final?
But the alternative to that is fans moan when they've got 2 things they have to pay for close together. So if you have a quarter-final and a semi-final a month apart, you don't have to pay. You can use 2 different wage packets to pay for those tickets.
Mark, I'm in the fortunate position of having a team that doesn't get past
but what I'm saying is there's no way of pleasing the rugby league community with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Put it in May and have rounds back to back and have great momentum. No one will turn up because everyone will say, how can I afford it? You're expecting me to shell out for this, and then Magic Weekend in June because they'll have to move back a month or something. And then you want me to pay for playoff tickets and international tickets, and how can I afford all of this? I live in a small northern town where there's no jobs anymore.
You're getting very political today.
I'm not. Do you know what I'm saying?
I completely take your point.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to the same amount of money over a year.
Yes, but people can afford it because they send it out of different wage packets, whereas you spend your season ticket money either up front, or lots of clubs run direct debit schemes now for your payment of your season tickets and that sort of thing. So the cup thing, I don't agree with. The other stuff, yes, I think it might be right to go straight to a playoffs at the end of the 23 rounds for the top 4, but you don't. The flip side of that is if you want to have the qualifiers, that would run through an international season. So you best hope that none of your top teams get in that qualifiers, because what if Wigan through injury or Warrington end up in the qualifiers and you've got bona fide England players like Burgess or Bateman or Chris Hill or Stefan Ratchford or whoever you want.
Yeah, well, there's a list in there because they could happen.
And then you've got them not being available for the international calendar. So this is the problem. There's no perfect solution, but we do play too many matches. It's difficult. It's really difficult. But great point. Thanks for getting in.
Yeah, it's fabulous to get some longer form emails into the feedback as well, because it really does provoke discussion as well. So that's lovely. Thank you. And if you're of a mind to do that,
Easter stats. The second weekend of Easter.
Yeah.
The second game of the Easter weekend. Typically over the last 4 or 5 seasons has been within the 5 most attended rounds of Super League of the regular season. So of the 23 round regular season, it's, I think, if I remember right off the top of my head, it's been 3rd, 4th and 5th over that spell. And there's always a big round at the start. So either the first or the second round, whenever the most of the big supported teams have their first home game together. So if Wigan and Leeds have their first home game both on round one, big round one attendance. If, say, Leeds do, but then Wigan, Saints and Hull have it on round two, big spike in average attendance for round two because of those factors. And then you might get one late in the season if there's an important game for clubs like Leeds and Wigan and they run promotions alongside it to get people in the doors. You might see spikes then, and that's why so it was 22 rounds, not 23 because Magic taken out, but that's why sometimes it slips a bit down, but it is still one of the highest attended rounds generally. So it is better than most normal rounds.
There you are. Okay. Right, well, that is feedback and shout-outs taken care of for the week. Let's take a look now at news from around the world of rugby league. So, to the news then, and we'll start at the Leigh Sports Village Mark, where Leigh Centurions have pulled off a major coup for the 2018 season with the signing of South Sydney Rabbitohs veteran Bryson Goodwin. The 31-year-old has agreed to continue his career in England next year, as League Express revealed the Rabbitohs star has agreed to join the Centurions on a multi-year deal starting from 2018, so 2 years for Bryson Goodwin in the northwest of England. You've got to think that Glenn Stewart's had a hand in perhaps encouraging his old teammate over. That's a decent signing for Leigh, that, isn't it?
I think Mitch Brown was best man at his wedding.
Oh, was he really?
So
there you go.
That would tell you maybe even more about who's been encouraging. But he's a good player.
Yes,
he's a solid player who still gets a go in the NRL. What the question for me is, does he think this is going to be a step down and an easy ride for him to sort of roll out the last couple of years of his career, or is he actually coming feeling like he's got a point to prove? It depends how that goes on that side of things, but should be a really good signing.
Tentatively.
Yeah,
exactly. Speaking of people ending careers, Andy Lynch has confirmed his retirement plans, with the forward set to bow out of the sport at the end of this season. Lynch made his professional debut back in 1999 with the Castleford Tigers as a 19-year-old after coming through their academy ranks. Whilst with the Tigers, Lynch represented Yorkshire and England, whilst also being selected to the 2003 Dream Team. He went on to play for the Bradford Bulls and then for Hull FC before returning to Cass in 2014, helping the club to reach the Challenge Cup final during his first season back with his hometown club. I discussed it a lot with my wife April, and we decided it's the right time for me now to look at the next chapter of my life. He said, "My 3 boys are at the age now where I need to be there more at the weekend. They're all playing sports and I've already missed out on a lot with them. It's now time to turn the tables and for me to spend my weekends watching my boys play sports." And we got some feedback on this one as well.
Well, just Alfie Wolf, he got in touch. He said, "I guess at the end of the show quiz hit home that this week for Andy, as old as time and Tom."
There we go. But what a career Andy Lynch had. Played his 500th professional game this weekend for Castleford.
Yeah.
That just takes some doing. Only Kevin Sinfield's played more in Super League than Andy Lynch.
That will go if he stays fit.
Well, yeah, true.
That record will fall this year if he stays fit.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
So, great player.
Yeah.
Everyone's enjoyed it. Great player, great character, great leader in the teams he's been in, great sort of example for younger players. I'm sure he'll find a role within the Castleford club. I'm certain. In a non-playing capacity. I would
stick a hat on him and he can be Ryan Sheridan's understudy or something. Well, no, he was a fantastic player, and I've got a lot of fond memories of him, obviously, from his time at Bradford. He was a World Club champion when he played for us, so best of luck to Andy Lynch. Staying with Castleford, though, the Tigers' back row forward Alex Foster has signed an extended contract with the Super League leaders until the end of 2019. The 23-year-old joined the Tigers on trial in February before initially agreeing a deal for the rest of this season. "I'm over the moon to sign here for another 2 years," he said. "It's been a great place to be." Yeah, he's taking his chances when he gets them, I suppose. He's obviously impressing behind the scenes. He's not first name on the team sheet at Castleford by any stretch, but when he's coming to the side...
Well, they must have felt they needed depth in the second row because they signed him and Leroy, didn't they, on trial basis at the start, like early in the season, and he's impressed enough, and I think he's fit into the system well, so sensible.
Yeah, there you go. Widnes Vikings centre Chris Bridge, who's 32, has announced that he will retire at the end of the current Super League season as well. The former England international started his career at Bradford Bulls and had a 10-year stint at Warrington before joining Widnes in 2015. I've struggled with injuries, so my boots are going up at the end of the year, he told the club's website. All I ever wanted to do is play rugby league, so I'm going to enjoy my last year. Good player, Chris Bridge.
Yeah, I mean, not
unhinged, but good player.
Not quite the league-winning silverware of, but you know, a few Challenge Cups in his pocket, and he was an important part of that Warrington squad for a number of years. And a really, you know, solid, very talented, sometimes his own worst enemy type of player that clubs like to have around. You know, the fans of the team that played for will have loved him. Yeah,
I used to like watching him. Even when he was at Warrington, I used to enjoy watching him. Salford Red Devils hooker Logan Tompkins and winger Greg Johnson have both signed new undisclosed length contracts with the Super League club. Tompkins is 24 and joined Salford on a permanent deal from Wigan in 2016 and has become their first choice hooker this term. Johnson is 27 and has been at the AJ Bell Stadium since 2014 and has scored 10 tries so far this season in 18 appearances. Logan is one of the hardest workers around. He does so much unseen work, said head coach Ian Watson. He's an extremely good player who is a good trainer, and that shows on the field. I may have gone a little bit ahead of myself. He went on to say about Greg Johnson that Greg is one of the best wingers in Super League when it comes to getting the team on the front foot, and that he's an extremely good trainer, and that shows on the field. So, Salford, what do you think of undisclosed length deals? Have you ever heard of that?
I just think it's that Marwan's probably announced it on Twitter before it's really been sorted out. No, I don't know. It's just been probably just a poor quality press release, I guess, that's been given out.
Or do we not know how long they want to play for the Bradford Red Bulls for? And
I would lean more towards just a polyphony.
Yeah, so would I.
But you know, two important parts when. On Friday night in the Sky coverage, not to talk too much about that game ahead of its slot in the show, Phil Clark talked about Salford not exiting their own end as well with the backs that were on the field, and talked about Justin Carney not being available, and he was so great at that, which he was. But Greg Johnson's been really good at turning defence into attack when loose balls have come or that sort of thing for Salford this year, because he's a very determined, gritty kind of, has a point to prove that is not who he was when he was younger. That's what I always feel about Greg Johnson. Like he's done some things that he regrets, and he always feels like he's got a point to prove when he's running the ball. And that's the sense I get. And so he does. He helps them get on the right, on the front foot too. So they're missing him in the last few games too.
Certainly.
And Logan Tompkins is a solid, steady professional. You need some of them around your club.
Of course you do. Hull KR have further strengthened their squad ahead of the qualifiers by completing a deal to sign former Castleford prop Leigh Jewett on an 18-month deal. Jewett left Castleford and England at the end of last season to join the Townsville Blackhawks. However, he has returned to this country with immediate effect, penning a deal with the Robins until the end of next season. Leigh Jewett is a good player, and that is a good signing for Hull KR.
Do you know what? I think if we had any room to be making sort of moves like this on our salary cap, I'd have taken him at Wigan, because we need a forward. We need an experienced forward who's not going to be shy about doing his work, because we're missing that right now.
No, that's a fantastic piece of business for Hull KR, in my opinion.
Well done.
York City Knights have confirmed the signing of versatile playmaker Connor Robinson following his release from Halifax. The 22-year-old has now completed a deal to join the League One side on a 2.5-year deal, so good luck to him over in North Yorkshire. West Tigers have confirmed the captures of Super League wingers Corey Thompson and Mahi Fanua from Widnes Vikings and Hull FC respectively. Both players have penned 2-year contracts that will run until the end of 2019. So, a shame to see these two players leave our competition, but not entirely unexpected in either case.
Yeah, and we're waiting for formal confirmation of Jordan Rankin to Huddersfield, aren't we? Which you'd think that they wouldn't have. They're letting him go with immediate effect, but obviously that's because this year's done for the West Tigers, pretty much.
But
there's a space in the third choice winger spot opened up for next year that these two can compete for certain.
That's it. Okay. Two-time World Cup winner Brad Fittler has been appointed head coach of International Minnows Lebanon. The 45-year-old who played for Australia 40 times and won the Golden Boot in 2000 will oversee the country's World Cup campaign, which pits them against England, France and the Kangaroos.